Hello, beautiful and lovely gamers. My name is Jonal. I hope you guys are having a lovely, lovely summer. Let's talk about Overwatch for a second and some misconceptions that I hear, especially when I private coach, but also in general when I talk to people. This goes a lot for ranking up. I think that Overwatch, like a lot of games, have been branded a lot like a team game, and especially towards the lower elos, a lot of people talk about it as a team game. It's my tank's fault for not claiming space. It's my healer's fault for not healing enough. My DPS doesn't deal enough damage, and my team is bad. More like that kind of phrasing. What I think is important to understand is that Overwatch is not a team game. Solo queue ranked is not a team game. I'll hear a lot of people already disliking the video. That's fine. It's not a team game. That just like most other games like Counter-Strike and Rainbow Six Siege, for example, are also not team games. The competitive aspect of Overwatch is very much a team game. However, and I've seen this firsthand. I've had a Masters team. I think it's still Masters. They were like 3.7s. There might have been like a GM or two. There might have been a couple diamonds. I don't recall. I just recall the average approximately was 3.7k. I coached them. I got like most of the players, close to, high masters GM level. But what I noticed when I was coaching these guys, as they hired me, it was that their game sense is really high. They have a lot of teamwork. Like they had already, like before they hired me as a coach, they had already kind of like watched some of my videos, watched other people and so on, and kind of build up some strategies. They had like good spreadsheets which they're supposed to have for high competitive teams with like what maps are we playing in the next tournament, what team composition are we trying to run, why do we run these team compositions. They had a lot of game sense and they had a lot of teamwork. They were actually playing really, really well together. Here comes the problem though. The problem was they were lacking individual skill. And that was the great bane. When they were going toe-to-toe against 4.1k, 4.2, 4.3k teams, their DPSs would lose duels. Their supports would not deal more damage than their other supports. Their enemy tanks would not play, our tanks. And that way, the team just lost every single fight, even though they had initial great tactics, because if the plan was disrupted, the entire team just collapsed right there and then and just looked like pudding. And if their plan went kind of their way and the enemy team kind of tried to okay, let's fight then. Sure, let's fight. They would lose most of their fights just because they couldn't pull off the shots and couldn't pull off the mechanical or individual play. Didn't understand when to flank or when to off angle, when not to off angle, how much to off angle, and when to burn what abilities and when to pop off what ultimates and how to get most value out of each ability in each ultimate. There's a lot of this individual background stuff that kind of hushed away because they were focusing so much on team play. And while team play is like super fucking important in competitive game, especially a game like Overwatch for the competitive scene, for solo queue ranked, it's rarely even a thing. You need to, yes, understand that your team is your team. And especially towards the higher you go into elo, the more quote-unquote team play do you need. But it is in very much the end, if you want to rank up, you. It's not your team, it's you. How can you perform? How can you carry? How can you be a god? Meaning you need to hit your shots. You need to be able to get frags, get value out of your either healing or shields or damage or abilities, ultimates. All of your resources needs to get value, and you need to understand how to implement yourself into this game against that team composition with this team. How you're supposed to play on this map with the heroes, or maybe swap the hero if it doesn't work, so that you get value. Your team in solo queue is just resources almost. You can almost think about it. I have a Winston. I play in gold. My Winston is gonna feed. But how much value can I get out of his feeding? That's the real question. How much ult charge can I get here? How can I, for example, for Genji players, it's super, super common way of carrying as a Genji. It's like this. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna position myself so I'm within my 15 meters, so I'm consistently active. If somebody gets low, I'll immediately assassinate them. If the enemy team does some weird mistake, like dropping down or rotating away from me so I have space to a backline and I can see a kill, I'll take that kill. If not, I'll build Dragon Blade ASAP and I'll fucking just blade them. And because my mechanics and my individual skills against player is so good, I can get 2 or 3 kills out of this blade. And because I understand how team fighting works, that 1v6ing with Dragon Blades is really, really, really stupid. I know, shocker, right? I will set up it in a way that, okay, my Winston consistently dives and feeds. So next time he dives and feeds, and I blade, for example, I know that, okay, he dives and feeds, okay, he's now distracting them, I'll pull in and blade. Or my tanks rarely push. Okay, so maybe I have to help them as a DPS or as a support or as an off tank, or maybe you are the tank, about when to push, when to apply pressure, right? You need to understand that yes, you need your team to win. You need your team to play. And some games are just completely lost. It's like they just toss the game out of the window. That just happens. That happens for everyone in every rank, even when you're playing ranks under you. Some games are just not winnable whatsoever. However, it's about you being consistent and you understanding that while yes, you need your team to push and claim space, you need to get healing from some of your healers, and you need, hopefully, your DPS to try to do something, at least distracting, or at least dealing some form of damage, or at least be, even something like, the enemy Tracer attacks the backline and can never kill the Sen, but at least the Sen is now busy dueling the Tracer, right? Or the Kree is running after the Tracer. Now there's no Krees, now there's no stun, so okay, now we can maybe do something with that, right? Or the Tracer forced out a bubble from the Zarya. Okay, great, at least he forces a bubble from the Zarya. That's something that I can abuse. Now they don't have a bubble, so some targets are more, it's easier for me to push and deal damage to. And again, that is how you need to look at Overwatch. And when it comes to solo queue rank, if you ever want to rank up, that in all your games, let's say you play 20 games. In all of those games, especially if you're like me and you queue skip each game because you don't want to meet the same people in the last lobby. If you queue skip the game and you avoid some people and whatnot and do your thing, you will be the only consistent factor in those 20 games. And if it's 20 games over a span, let's say you play 3-4 games every day for 2 months, you are still the only fucking factor that is in all of those games. And by balancing, the enemy team will sometimes, some games will be a complete utter loss and there's no way of you winning. Some will be unthrowable. And I have had, and I expect that most of you, or if not all, have had games that like you played like a bot. Because I've had that. I played like a fucking bot. I couldn't hit any shots. I didn't do nothing. But my team just hard carried my fucking ass to that victory. And there was nothing I did. I've seen this so many times in private coaching VODs. And some games are these kind of like, you need to win. Maybe your team is a little bit worse than the enemy team. Maybe your team is a little bit better than the enemy team. But in the end, it kind of also rests a lot on, this is like a fairly decent, quote-unquote, balanced experience. And it's about you to be kind of that difference maker that goes from, okay, this is kind of balanced, to this is a free win for the rest of your teammates because you are performing so well, because you are carrying so hard, right? And at that point, again, your team is at that point just a form of resource. They are individuals that will do their thing and do their roles and so on, but you need to play your game consistently. You cannot get mad at your team and blame your team for losing, because you will never improve long-term or short-term, and you will throw that match. You cannot be mad at your teammates for performing like shit. You have to just play with what you got and do your very best and look upon it as a learning experience. That's how I don't tilt. That's how I make sure that I never ever tilt. Or at least I tilt very little, by instead of thinking, oh fucking hell, piece of shit, I'm losing this game, what the fuck? Instead of thinking, okay, I might lose this game, but let's see how well I can perform, and let's kind of use this. Okay, it's a lost game, it's a difficult game to win. Let's use this for kind of like getting data on myself, like how well am I performing under pressure right now? What mistakes am I doing under pressure? So that the next time I get a game like this, I will already have been in this situation. I've analyzed it, and now I know it. So I'll go through that match and replay view, and I take some notes and be like, okay, that's a mistake. I should fix this. I should have done that instead. And that way I learn from this. So instead of looking at it as like, oh no, I'm losing my SR, I'm looking at it as, okay, I might lose some SR here, but I will still play my very best. I'll play my game, I'll do my things, and play as good as I can. And if I lose that, then okay, I'll go back and I'll make sure that I look at what could I've done better. And then, well, we go again. If I think that as long as I'm happy with my own performance, I don't really care if we lose the match. The only time I really get upset that we lose a match if I don't perform during that match. That's when I get really upset, because then it's my fault that we're losing, because I don't perform, because I can't hit the shot, or I choked, or I did something stupid, and that is the worst feeling for me if I cannot perform. So Overwatch as solo queue, no matter how much you want to think about it, it's not a team game. And blaming your teammates, or blaming your team composition, or blaming anything, or no comms, or low comms, or no understanding, will not help you ever to rank up or get better at anything. Okay? It's the same as saying that the reason you're bad at math is because you had a shit math teacher. And while that to a certain sense, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I had a shitty math teacher, and if I'd had a better math teacher, it would probably have been easier. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, but there's other people that have had shitty math teachers. I've had shitty math teachers, and I'm decent at math, right? It's about putting in the work individually and trying not to blame each other. If you blame anyone else and everyone else and just yell at everyone else, it's never your fault, you will never improve at anything. And that's how life is, and that's also how competitive esport is, and competitive titles are. So yes, Overwatch is not a team game in the competitive ladder. Your teammates are a factor in your games, and you are reliant to a certain extent on decent, or at least, you know, semi okay teammates. And even more so, you're reliant that the enemy team is not dominating your teammates. But in the end, it's all about you. In the long term, in the short term, it's all about you performing well, as you are the carry for your team. There's also one of the reasons I say tell people don't 6-stack in low elos, as you get used to something that is not a very realistic view of the game, and a lot of time you will end up either with people that is too high skill ceiling and carrying you to an elo that you're not supposed to be in, and therefore you're not learning anything, or you handicapping yourself by putting, you know, gold players that is not supposed to be diamond or even platinum, but you're pushing diamond with them, so you're heavily handicapping yourself, instead of having random platinum players that at least, you know, to a certain extent can at least, you know, 1-to-1 the ratio of the enemy team to your team, instead of you playing around with a bunch of gold players. That's why I never tell people to, that's why I tell people to try not to stack too many people unless it's a bunch of friends and doing it for fun, as normally it makes the learning experience for you way worse, and a lot of people focus too much on talking and too little on actually thinking about their own game. But that's all that I have for today. If you're interested in improving and getting better over the summer, ranking up, getting on team, whatever that your goal is for competitive esport and Overwatch, you can hire me as a private coach. It's €50 for a 2-hour session. Doesn't matter if you're bronze top 100. So hit me up on our Discord server, which will be linked in the description, which you should join anyway, as it's amazing. You can supply your VODs, you can ask for questions, you can talk in general to people. That's amazing. You can submit, you know, memes and other fun stuff there. And in general, just have a good time with an amazing community. So I hope I see you on the Discord server. My Twitter is also linked in the description if you want a little bit more of an in-glimpse to me just spouting bullshit on the internet. And besides that, guys, I hope you guys have a lovely gaming experience. My name's been Jonal. You guys take care of yourselves, stay positive, and as always, keep the enemy in your crosshair.